Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here. Check out the series. You know what to do. If you like what you see, what you hear, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I got to tell you, I'm excited to have him on for the first time. Sam Nelson Harris from X Ambassadors. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
That's good, man. Good to see you on here. I know a lot's going on. It seems like it's been a busy time, but the latest news, you all have another soundtrack cut, and this time Aquaman 2 with the deep
Yeah,
end. First off, hi, and second, this is another really great track. So, the
thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you. It was a long time, long process. The movie took. So we wrote this song maybe a year ago now, and the movie's taken a long time to kind of get together. They've had a lot of hurdles, so we're really excited that it's out in the world and that the movie's coming out and that it's going to be a part of it.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, that's got to be a thing, though. I mean, because I'll talk more about that, or I'll ask more about that. Having written for several movies through the
Mhm.
years,
Yeah.
you hear artists be like, okay, on one hand, what's great is you can write a song and release it the next day and it's out there. And if you
Mhm.
want to do the record thing, there's its own timeline, but this has got to be its own monster when you're dealing with movies
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, look, there are a lot more cooks in the kitchen, There were definitely some rewrites, we had to make it a little bit more aquatic. That's cool.
what does that mean in the terms of this song?
Listen, you can't go wrong with a water metaphor, is all I'm saying.
Well, like, I
Uh,
mean, that's the
it's
obvious
fun,
segue.
man. I like it, like I like the challenge of it. I like trying to I'm such a film guy. I love writing for films, and I think our music and my tastes lean kind of cinematic anyways. And I mean, for something like this too, a kid who grew up reading comic books and was such a comic book nerd, like I've always really wanted to write something for a superhero franchise, and yeah. So I mean, I got such a kick out of it, man. I loved every second of it.
Yeah. So when because it's writing by assignment in a way, right? It's like
Yeah,
you've got the
yeah,
assignments.
yeah.
Like for this assignment, superhero movie, like I would
Mhm.
expect like the themes have to be big. It has to be inspirational. Like
Yeah.
like diving. I was about to say it. Diving into the
Yeah,
deep end.
see, I'm telling you, you can't go wrong with a water metaphor.
I couldn't even escape that one. But for this song specifically, what did that mean? Knowing that okay, we're writing for Aquaman. Here it is.
Well, you know what? I think I always try to find like what's a real authentic emotional in for me, because like you'll get briefs from the music supervisors and they're like inspiring, badass, swagger, and you're like, okay, all
What
right.
does that mean? Right.
And then they'll give you 1,000 different themes that they're working with or that someone's looking for. And the reality is, like, the director is going to know it when they hear it. And I think what I always try to do is, like, I don't know, for this one specifically, right? Like, there's a story of these two brothers that is kind of at the heart of the film. And I have been in my band with my brother for the last 15 years, and he and I are very close. And I kind of tapped into that relationship dynamic a little bit, because that's like authentic to me. I think what I try to follow my North Star with these things, like, is it a song that I actually like? If I can try and write something that I actually like, whether it works for the film or not, doesn't matter, because it's still a win if I wrote something that I like. And every once in a while, those stars just happen to align. And I also think that all the references that we got for when they were looking for a song for this, they were like these big, like, stomp clap, like big rockers, and I don't know. My instincts are always like do the opposite. So I was like, let's do something in like 3/4, like a dun, 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 like a very like kind of James Bond brass heavy sound. And we kind of found this interesting middle ground between like a rock band and like a, live and let die kind of James Bond theme.
Yeah. I think if you can sneak a waltz in pop music anytime,
Listen,
that's a win.
it's a win. It's a win, right? Thank you. Thank you.
Every time. I for me, I like you can't see it over my shoulder. Like I still, some people go crate digging for records. I still do it for CDs, but specifically soundtracks.
Oh,
Um, since I was young, I loved that. Like when I was, because I was a kid of the '80s, teen of the '90s,
yeah,
and soundtracks.
huge.
That was an open world for discovery right there, in the ways that we didn't have that. And I find that I still, for whatever reason, I enjoy, because sometimes it's not the artist's best songs that are on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I like them even more because of that.
Yeah. Okay, top 3 soundtracks.
Oh, that's impossible to do. That's
I know.
impossible.
Okay. Top 3,
Yeah.
like just 3 at the top of your head that you really
Off
like.
the top. Okay, so I was listening to there was an 80s movie, 9.5 Weeks, very sexy movie.
Yeah.
That is an overlooked soundtrack because the movie sort of had such a big thing. Like John Taylor from Duran Duran has the theme to it, and the Eurythmics are on there, and they got this like 7-minute groove track that goes along, and like everything in between is fantastic. And like I've been listening to that one a lot lately. And then they're the ones I grew up on, like Dazed to Confused and Batman Forever and Godzilla in the 90s. And then you turn around with with some of that stuff in the 2000s,
The
like
Godzilla soundtrack. That one I just was talking about the other day. That one is so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Way better than the movie ever was, but
oh my God. Yeah. That was all anyone cared about. That one, the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack.
absolutely.
Oh, that's like, that's creme de la creme for me. And then I recently I went back. Do you remember the Twister soundtrack?
Oh yeah, got that right over here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a great one.
The Tori Amos song on that.
Oh yeah.
I got her. I requested the song when she was in town recently, and she played that one from that one. So.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
That's
Tallulah.
so cool.
That's a good one. Yeah. So that's it. I do. I love soundtracks, and you have done so many. I mean, I'm gonna do a little bit of the rundown because Transformers, you had Torches, the Call of the Wilds, Great Unknown, Sucker for Pain on Suicide Squad. You're on the Bright soundtrack. That's only a few of them, but I think you're already talking about this. But what is it? What is it attracts you to say yes every time? Besides some probably easy exposure.
Yeah, it's easy exposure. Look, the money's not bad, like, but then I also just have so much fun doing it. I really genuinely do. And I grew up, like, I watch everything, and I'm like, my favorite films are usually like quiet indie dramas, but I also like love big action movies. And like, that's, I guess historically listing those, at least, like those are the ones that we get drawn into usually. I think probably just because of the timbre of my voice, and it works for that world. And I love it. Like, I don't know, I have fun. It's so rare to like genuinely have fun doing anything in this life. And I have such a great time whenever I'm able. It's also, I'll tell you what it is. I think when it comes to our own music that we release and our own albums and our own projects, there's you can't help but like kind of have a little bit of white knuckling going on, because it's yours, and it's all you, and very personal, and like what means the most to you. And it's a lot of like me. And doing something like this, I get outside of my own head a little bit, and I get to do something that is like, okay, well, what are you looking for?
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking for? How can I help you? And then, the best ways that I usually can help have to also do with a little bit of personal excavation, which is great. I love that, but like in service of something else.
Yeah. That even puts in perspective the EG series that you guys have
Yeah.
been doing. You've been season
Yeah,
2
yeah.
because this seems like that might be that safe middle ground in a way. It's like it's still your project, but the weight's not all on your shoulders. Is that right?
Exactly. I love any opportunity to get out of my own way, you know?
Mhm.
And I think that the Egg series has really just like been such a saving grace for me mentally and emotionally, just because I get to work with these artists who I love, like the song we put out with Breland. I mean, I love country music. I've slowly started to fall in love with like pop country music. Really, truly, you know, I think that there's some masterful songwriting in that world that gets overlooked. And then working with an artist like Medium Build, who I just am obsessed with. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
listened to his stuff, but oh God, and the cool thing about that series too is that, you know, for some of these artists, they're relatively obscure, and we have somewhat of a platform, maybe not, you know, Taylor Swift size platform, but like we have somewhat of a platform to be able to give these artists who we love, you know, a spotlight, at least to our fans. And that's really nice to be able to do.
Yeah. Yeah, those specific songs that you mentioned, Alcohol and Friends for Life, two of the most recent ones, but two of the most fun songs that I've heard this year, I think.
Oh, thanks, man. You
Especially,
know,
Friends for Life, you get that late 90s, early 2000s throwback that's going on in there. And Alcohol is, that's I don't know if you call it a party song, but that's a fun party song,
it's a
It's
fun
the whole
party
thing.
song.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
know, it's funny, I'm not even really a big party guy, but you know,
But you're a
I
good
love
songwriter, so
it. So I can fake it. That's right.
that's
I'm like not even drinking right now. I'm taking a drinking break because it's so funny, this
probably the
alcohol.
best time to write a song about alcohol. The other
Probably.
way can go a little bit south.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's cool. I like, and it's hilarious, by the way. You say, yeah, you'll take an excuse to get out of your own way and everything, because of course you release your solo record this year, which
I
has to be
know.
the most in your way possible. And let me throw some compliments on that one. Why does everything make me cry? When I listen to this, aside from everything else you do, aside from the movie stuff you do and the regular albums, the ambassadors, like this record feels so much more direct.
Yeah.
The moments on there where it's like Forever Now sounds
Oh
like the
yeah.
best kind of demo. You're like,
Yeah.
I can't best that. I don't know if that's the truth on that song, but that's what we know those moments.
That was the intention. The
Yeah.
whole intention was, I think with this project, and what I've really loved about it is like, I don't know, embracing my voice in a way that's like, I want someone to feel like they kind of stumbled on a voice note of someone writing a song and playing it back for the first time, because those moments are really the best moments, period. You know, when you finish something that you really love and you play it by yourself in a room and you get excited about this thing that you've made. Beyond that, putting it out, you know, to putting it out, to like having people listening to it, to playing it live, to winning awards for it, making a lot of money off of it, none of that shit makes you feel anything. It makes you feel a little something, but you feel the most in that moment when you are writing the thing, and when you finished it, and you can't believe that you've made this thing. You know, I always call it like the, oh my God, I can still do this moments, you know. It's like surprising to me still.
Yeah. With as much as you're doing, then why was now the time for that solo record?
I mean, it was a combination of a lot of things. I think that I kind of went through my own little identity crisis in the middle of COVID, like most of us did, and realized that, you know, I'd been in this band for 15 years, and as much as lucky as I am that I'm working with my brother and my best friend, you know, like I and they give me such creative license with what we do in the band. and they'll follow my lead. I'm still, I'm still kind of doing it with a group of us. And I hadn't really done anything that was just purely for myself in a long time. And I think that also I needed to dig a little deeper in order to try to evolve as a band too. And I needed to kind of like take some time to myself so that I could come back stronger, as a person who is leading the way. I needed to not be a leader for a second, I think.
Yeah. And I know it's important that you take those moments. And
yeah.
And luckily it also sounds good because
Thanks, man.
well, some of those times, like I don't even mean this as disrespect, but sometimes people get so deep into themselves on a project like that it's not for everybody, but and this feels kind of still the two-way street that you hope it does.
Thanks, man. Yeah. And I also am trying, it's nice to feel like a new artist again. I think that was what I also was craving. Like, the band's been around now for, I'd say officially for like 10 years.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. And with those years, there just comes baggage, good and bad.
Yeah.
And I wanted the opportunity to have something that was like totally new and kind of approach it like, these new artists today are approaching it, and not overthink things. And I think I'm going to put a couple more songs out this side of the year, solo stuff, and then maybe a new record next year too. I've got a record. I just got to figure out how to put it out.
I love that because all the press releases, like, more music is imminent is the line. It's like,
yeah.
And that feels right because it feels like, I don't know if it feels as fluid to you as the perception is on our side, because getting multiple projects at once and these one-offs at the same time, it almost just, do you find it to be a fluid process?
Never, but I wish it was more fluid. I'm like, I want to put the fucking thing out like right away. Sorry, excuse my language. I want to put it out like right away, right? As soon as I write it, like, and I think that there are kids who are doing that now, and that's exciting. Like, I wrote a song with my my cousin. He's an incredible writer producer. He goes by Saint Kid, and he's also from upstate New York. And I'm trying to lift up these other kids who went to my same high school, who lived in my same town, who are out in LA, like, doing their thing. He and I wrote a song together that he's going to put out. And he called me the other day and he was like, yo, man, I think I want to put this song out. Like, and I was expecting him to be like, I need you to send me the session. Like, maybe I'm going to try to get it mixed by my friend. And then, like, we're probably going to put it out, in like a couple months, and have a rollout plan. And he was like, I have an MP3, but if you could send me a wave, I'm uploading it right now to DistroKid. And I was like, he was like, I don't really want to get it mixed or mastered or anything. I think it sounds great. Like, that's the mentality that these kids have. That's
now,
that's good.
If you've got the luxury of hindsight, when you look back at some of your songs, are you able to say, oh, I wish we'd put that song out sooner, maybe because I know that mix I liked, or opposite, are you like, God, it's a good thing we didn't put that out sooner because we got more time to work on it, and I think this is better?
Oh man, I'm the worst at that. I'm like going back into my brain and regretting every single decision I've ever made. So, I don't know.
Demo-itis is hard to beat in itself.
It's hard. And I think, like, early on, we were very fortunate to have our first album be as successful as it was. And then I think, for the few years following that, I was motivated not only by just wanting to, like, up the ante, but then also probably by fear of, like, not being able to follow it up with something as good. And I think that put me in a position where I was chasing hits a little bit. And look, we wrote some incredible songs in that period of time, and put those songs out. But I think it muddied the waters a bit for me. And in having to fight against that, you know. I'd find myself like trying to chase these hits and like kind of like snap out of it and be like, what are you doing? This is bad. This doesn't sound good, you know? And I don't think I have that so much anymore. It's nice to not feel that pressure.
I mean, you live and learn, and if you're fortunate enough, you get to try again.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I mean, I think the biggest lesson that I learned was that, you know, if you're trying to write a hit and you write a song and you don't really like it and it becomes a hit, that feels good, but it's a little confusing because you're like, oh, well, I don't know how to trust myself. If you do the same thing again, write a song, you don't really like it, but everyone else says it's a hit, and then it comes out and it's not, that feels awful. Because then you're like, I knew this sucked.
Right.
You know, but if you write something that you think is great and genuinely think is great and you love, and you put it out, it's not a hit, it's okay. Still love the song. You put it out and it is a hit, that's a totally different ballgame.
That's the win. That's the grand slam right there.
That's a grand slam. That's a grand slam. You'll eventually hate it anyways, but you know.
As we all do with any art that we ever do, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I understand that. I really love watching what you do and how you do it. I especially love this new solo record. But congrats on Deep End, getting into Aquaman 2. I know this is huge right here. And the imminent new music that is on the way, I'm going to be around to check out every single time. So
yeah, man, we got a new X Ambassadors record coming out next April.
Right on.
And let me tell you, man, I'm really proud of this one, and I'm really excited about it. We were just going through it the other day. We have all these visuals that we shot in upstate New York, and I don't know. It's nice to feel like you've made something that, yeah, if I put it out tomorrow and one person listened to it, I'd be so happy.
But you'll be happier if 1 million people listen to it.
Yes, I will be.
So what you're saying is you wrote an album that you didn't write an album that you don't like, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait to hear some of that stuff. Sam, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this today too.
Oh, thank you so much, Kyle. It's great to see you, man.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.